The night stretched endlessly before Chai as his car's headlights cut through the inky blackness. He was making the long drive home to Bangkok after a late shift at his teaching job in the ancient city of Ayutthaya. Little did he know, something was lying in wait, ready to shatter the peaceful stillness of this night. Chai felt a chill run down his spine as he spotted a slender figures in flowing traditional Thai dresses emerge from the shadows up ahead, waving frantically at his approaching car. Despite every instinct telling him to keep driving, a powerful sense of curiosity compelled Chai to pull over. As the woman approached his window, he was struck by her haunting, otherworldly beauty. "Please, sir, could you give me a ride downtown? I'm running late for an important ritual." Chai's heart pounded in his chest as he took in the woman's words. A ritual, this late at night? Still, he found himself powerless to refuse her desperate plea. Chai said, "Of course, get in." And so Chai sealed his fate, allowing this strange woman to enter his car and venture forth into the abyss of night. An uneasy silence hung heavy between them, interrupted only by the soft humming of an ancient folk tune from his passenger's lips. As they drove on, Chai kept stealing glances into his rearview mirror, his chest tightening each time her haunting reflection failed to appear. It was as if she had no corporeal form at all. Before long, they approached the destination, where ritualistic dances were once performed to honor the dead. Already on edge, Chai's anxiety peaked as he watched a massive oak tree come into view. "Stop here, please. This is my destination." Heart pounding, Chai pulled over, knowing he was about to come face to face with something unholy. The woman smiled sweetly and exited the vehicle. But as she stepped onto the road, an unearthly transformation took place. Her beautiful features contorted into a twisted, demonic sneer as her body morphed into that of a wretched spirit, claws extending from her fingertips. In a flash, Chai's shock turned to sheer terror. He slammed his foot onto the gas pedal, peeling away from the gruesome scene as the cackling laughter of the evil entity echoed all around him. Gripping the wheel with white knuckles, Chai sped blindly through the night, his mind plagued by haunting visions of the malevolent spirit left behind at the curve. Her sinister cackles reverberated through his mind as he struggled to make sense of what he had witnessed. Finally arriving home, Chai burst through his front door, eyes wild and body drenched in a cold sweat. He had stared into the depths of the supernatural that night and lived to tell the tale. But forever etched into his memory would be the harrowing reminder that in the dead of night, evil lurks much closer than we think, waiting for its next unwitting victim to beckon it into this world.
Have you ever had a job that seemed normal at first, but quickly turned into a nightmare? Well, this pizza delivery guy is about to experience a horror like no other. It was just another quiet night working the late shift at a small pizza place. Ben, the newest delivery driver, had only been on the job for less than a week. Little did he know, this unassuming evening was about to take a terrifying turn. Around 1 a.m., the orders were dwindling down when Ben's co-worker approached him with one last delivery to a regular customer's house. Seems simple enough, right? But there was an unsettling glint in the co-worker's eye as he sent the unsuspecting newbie on his way. As Ben arrived in the dark neighborhood, an eerie fog seemed to creep in from nowhere. He couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that he was being watched. When he couldn't find the right house number, a lone middle-aged man quietly smoking outside was Ben's only hope for directions. 4 houses down, they order all the time, the man replied flatly, sending a shiver down Ben's spine. There was something off about his calm demeanor. The house itself looked uninviting enough, with its overgrown yard and shuttered windows. The surrounding stillness made even the rustle of leaves sound ominous. As Ben approached the door, his heart pounded. The doorbell wasn't working despite his frantic button mashing. Just as unease gripped him, the smoking man called out cryptic instructions to open the pizza box and slide it under the front gate. To Ben's horror, dozens of other open pizza boxes littered the overgrown yard, watching Ben's every move like a hawk. What Ben saw next, illuminated by his motorbike's headlight, made his blood run cold. A strange teenager had suddenly appeared in the yard, hungrily kneeling down and devouring the pizza with unsettling desperation. Ben didn't wait another second before peeling out in sheer terror. Back at the pizza place, the co-workers laughed off Ben's shocking encounter at first. Until one veteran driver recounted his own nightmarish experience at that same doomed address years prior. The house, it belonged to a family who lost their son in a tragic accident. Heartbroken, the parents still ordered pizzas regularly, leaving them at the abandoned home for their deceased son's insatiable hunger, even after death. So be warned. Some after-dark deliveries job come with an unholy price. A price poor Ben never saw coming until it was far too late. Don't miss out on more terrifying true paranormal experiences. Hit that subscribe button for more spine-tingling tales that'll have you checking the closets at night.
Creaking doors, flickering lights, the faint smell of decay, all signs that something sinister lurks in the shadows. But for Sam, an unsuspecting student desperate for affordable housing, the eerie phenomenon would soon twist into a hellish nightmare, blurring the line between reality and his darkest visions. From the moment he stepped into room 413, an oppressive force bore down on his soul. Though pristine, the apartment carried an unsettling energy, a cold, watchful presence setting his nerves on edge. At first, the signs were small, belongings askew, lights flickering for no reason. But they intensified nightly, until Sam's world descended into a waking night terror. The first appearance, a pale, odd figure flickering in the periphery when he was most vulnerable. Just a fleeting glimpse, but one that chilled him to the bone. Then came the rattling footsteps, echoing through the empty halls even when he was utterly alone. The gut-wrenching nightmares soon followed, visions of a malicious female spirit taunting him, her maniacal laughter piercing his subconscious. The second appearance, this time she drew nearer in his dreams, her form more substantial. Glaring at him with hollow, soulless eyes, she invaded his subconscious like a malignant plague. The final appearance, the dread escalated unbearably as Sam found himself paralyzed, forced to witness the spirit's final, violent moments in gruesome detail. A beautiful young woman at the end of her rope. Her body convulsed violently, tongue lolling, eyes rolling back as she choked out her last agonizing breaths. In that moment, Sam felt an otherworldly chill seize his very being. The dread, the sheer torment of locking eyes with the malignant undead threatened to shatter what remained of his sanity. He called out to any higher power that would listen, begging for deliverance from this waking nightmare. From that day forward, Sam abandoned his pursuit of cheap student housing, paying whatever premium was required to ensure no run-ins with the supernatural. The haunting visions eventually faded, but the chills never fully subsided. A life forever changed by one terrifying encounter with the vengeful souls lurking in the shadows. So let this serve as a warning to anyone pursuing late-night tales of the paranormal. Open that forbidden door, and you can never again unsee what slithers through from the other side. If you like this true paranormal story, hit that subscribe button.
Have you ever had one of those nights where things start out totally normal, but then take a turn into the terrifyingly unexplainable? Well, let me take you back to a Thai New Year's Songkran reunion with my childhood crew that did exactly that. It was the days leading up to the Songkran festival when my old crew from our hometown would return from Bangkok to visit family. Like every year, they gathered at my place to catch up over a few cold ones and piles of cookout barbecues. Laughter and stories flowed freely as we squeezed into my yard that warm evening. The fairy lights twinkled, cold beers clinked, and the smoky aroma of grilled pork filled the air. It was just like old times. But as the night pushed past midnight, an unexpected arrival made the atmosphere even heavier with unease. Our buddy Jai stumbled in with a grin, but there was a glassiness to his eyes that gave me the chills. As our buzz deepened into the early morning hours, we ran dry on booze and snacks. That's when our pal Jai, always the eager one, volunteered to restock the supplies at Auntie Cal's shop, a nearby local street vendor. We topped him off on my bike and sent him on his way. You see, old Auntie Cal ran the neighborhood shop we frequented over the years. She'd witnessed us transform from reckless youths to full-grown men still behaving recklessly whenever we reunited. So you can imagine our shock when, well into our revelries, a somber group approached to buy flowers for Auntie Cal's funeral. They revealed the unthinkable that very night. While we were lapping up laughter and liquor, she had passed away suddenly from a stroke. My blood turned to ice, because Jai had just been to her shop for supplies not long ago. The realization crept up my spine like icy fingers. If she was already dead, then who or what had served him at her storefront? I barely had time to process this terrifying possibility before a new wave of dread washed over me. As Jai's mother turned up the next day, eyes glazed with tears, uttering the unimaginable, Jai's body arrived just this morning. He died in a motorcycle accident on the way to Auntie Ko's shop. From where, you ask? Well, I'll leave the final piece of this bone-chilling puzzle to your imagination. Because the most nightmarish fears are the ones your mind concocts for you. If you enjoyed this spooky little tale, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more paranormal experiences from the East.
Have you ever experienced something so terrifying, so bone-chillingly real, that it makes you question the boundaries between our world and the realm of the unknown? The year was 1995, and I, found myself admitted to a hospital in Bangkok, Thailand as a gravely ill patient. Little did I know, the horrors that awaited me there would shake me to my core. I was housed on the second floor of the inpatient building, sharing a room with just a handful of other patients. The nurses were few and far between, leaving an eerie silence that blanketed the halls. It was then that he arrived, a new patient whose sickly, jaundiced appearance seemed to foreshadow the darkness yet to come. With pleading eyes, he turned to me, rasping, "Brother, water." What unfolded next defied all logic and reason. The man's behavior became increasingly erratic, pouring the water over himself, insisting on using the bathroom against the nurse's orders. The staff's attempts to sedate him took a disturbing turn when his condition rapidly deteriorated, until finally, he took his last, agonizing breath. I can still hear the deathly rattle that escaped his lips that night. Still see the lifeless body being stuffed into a red body bag by my own unwilling hands. It started with strange, thumping noises in the dead of night. Sounds like nothing of this world, rhythmically getting closer, closer, until at last, the source revealed itself to me, a red body bag, as if possessed by some unholy force, hopping up the stairwell in unnatural, sickening bursts. I watched, paralyzed, as it lurched towards the door, seemingly locking its non-existent eyes with mine. The stench of death clung to the air. No matter how hard I tried to escape his ghastly presence, he found a way to torment me further with gruesome reminders of my unwitting ties to his demise. Hurled objects, eternal wails in the night, he would not rest until I accepted my fate. In the end, I did the only thing I could. I ran. Fled that accursed place and never looked back, praying the anguished spirit would remain confined within those hospital walls. But I'll never forget the chill that penetrated my soul during those tormented nights. The shiver that still grips me, even to this day, when I hear the phantom thumps of the cursed red body bag.